Hey everyone, Lauren from A Girl and Her Wool here. Welcome back to my channel. Here on my channel I talk all about behind the scenes of me running my hand-dyed yarn business and any other crafty topics that I come up with. And that's what we're going to be doing today. I have all of my projects, my whips lined up here, and I wanted to share with you guys what I've been working on all December long. So if that sounds good to you, make sure you are subscribed to my channel so you don't miss any other videos. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is show you guys the projects that I finished in December. So I have two pairs of socks that I want to show you. So the first finished object that I'm going to show you guys is one that you've seen if you've been tuned into the channel. So these are a pair of vanilla socks that I knit out of a sock blank, and I dedicated a whole vlog just to these socks. So if you aren't familiar with sock blanks or just want to join me along the adventure of knitting these socks, check out that vlog. I'll leave a link to it down below, and you can kind of see how this project started and went, and I'll talk more about them there. If you watch that vlog, then you know that one of the socks was blocked and one of them was not blocked, and I'm happy to report that that is still the case. So I honestly just realized that when I went to pull these out. So when I wash our hand knits later this week or this weekend, I will put the other one in the wash so I can wash it. But again, I knit these with a sock blank that is from my hand-dyed yarn shop. So here is the remnants of that sock blank, and I'm still deciding what I want to do with it. I think it would be really fun to frame and hang up, but I'm not sure. I might end up just using it for something else. And if you haven't watched that vlog yet, I definitely recommend it. If you are interested in picking up a sock blank, there's something special in there that you might be interested in. So again, I'm not going to talk about these more. Definitely go check out that video. But again, a pair of vanilla socks done and off the needles. What's nice about it is I'm trying to be better about knitting socks for myself from my shop, with yarn from my shop that I actually will wear instead of keeping them nice and neat and clean. I always kind of feel like I shouldn't, you know, mess them up because they're for the shop, but also want to make sure I'm enjoying them too. So that is finished object number one. Okay, so the other finished object I've shown on my channel here as a work in progress, but I don't think I showed it as a finished object. And I will say that both socks are blocked. So this is the candles and coffee sock, and I will show it to you guys up close so you can see the pattern a little bit more. It is a pattern by Julia from the Happy Knitting Podcast, which is a YouTube channel that you can follow along. She knits and makes really beautiful projects. She's kind of taking a break as she raises her young child, but she's really active on Instagram with kind of posting her progress on projects. So if you don't know her, you definitely should follow her. I always love everything she makes. And I knit these again out of my hand-dyed yarn, A Girl and Her Wool, but this is the driftwood colorway. And it's just like a tonal-ish gray-brown color that just speckles really fun, but overall you kind of don't get a crazy color. It's just kind of a tonal gray-brown. So let me show the pattern down the front and then talk about these just for a minute. So this is the pattern, and actually I'll show it this way. So this is the pattern of the sock. So it's a really straightforward pattern. Quite honestly, it's a 6 or 8 row repeat, and you pick it up real quick to the point where you really can work on it pretty you know, for me, I could work on it without having the pattern in front of me, which was nice. So it wasn't quite a vanilla pattern, but at the same time, I worked on these when I really didn't want to think, and you'll see why. I have a lot more intense projects going on, and so it was nice to just have an easy sock pattern. And I actually really love knitting textured sock patterns. I think people either, you know, are here or there with them. Either they knit them a lot or they don't at all. And it's just fun for me to have like those easy, quick projects that need a little bit more than vanilla socks. So changes that I made to the pattern. So to be completely upfront, when I knit a textured sock pattern, all I take from the pattern is the textured pattern. So whether they have it charted or written out, whatever it is, I just kind of take that 6 rows or that 8 rows and build it into my own sock pattern. So it is technically a cuff down pattern. I knit it toe up, so technically for me the pattern is upside down. To me, who cares? It's still a really fun pattern, and no one looking at my feet are gonna go, is that upside down? Not at all. So yes, so I knit it toe up. I also do a fish lips kiss heel. I don't know what pattern she puts in the, what heel she puts in the pattern. And then I did a 1x1 twisted rib. I don't always do a twisted rib, a 1x1 twisted rib. But what happened was I didn't have a multiple of 4 when I got there, and so I said let's do a 1x1 rib, and why not, let's do it twisted while we're at it. So that's what I did, and yeah, so now it's a finished pair. So again, I'm excited to kind of put these in on my sock shelf and, you know, actually use them and enjoy them versus kind of saying, oh, but you know, it could be a sample for the shop. So that is finished object number 2, and you will see I've already cast on another textured sock pattern. I just, after being kind of like worn out on socks a little bit, I'm happy to be excited to work on them again, and yeah, so that is that. And driftwood is, I do think I have a few skeins of it available in the shop. So those are the objects that I finished. I'm quite proud of that. Again, I haven't really knit too much this year, and I will catch you guys all up on that soon. But so to have like 2 pairs of socks finished is really great and exciting. But let me show you some of these larger projects that I have going on the needles here. So most of these projects, I think, again, if you've been following on the channel, you've seen here and there, so kind of just giving some progress updates. But I have a couple of sweaters, 2 sweaters and 2 pairs of socks on the needles, and then kind of one more thing that I'll show you guys at the end there as well. But this is the All of the Lights pattern. I'll hold it up in a second. This is the All of the Lights pattern. It's a Hohi Locatelli pattern, and it's a sweater, it's a cardigan, and it's a really cable-y textured lace pattern. So you can see I have the armholes here on each side, and so I'm I don't know, maybe 4 inches past there. And then here is the back side of it. So you can see it's just got a lot of fun cables and textures and just all of the good stuff. I am knitting this out of, again, my hand-dyed yarn. This is Woodland, the colorway, and it's on my DK base. And I'm actually knitting this using 2 300-gram skeins of yarn that I'm just alternating the whole way through. So they're still pretty large, still have plenty of sweater to go, plenty of yarn left to go. Okay, so again, and I'll kind of try and give a close-up here so you can see how the colors and the textures play off each other. So Woodland is kind of a muted rainbowy kind of color. Overall it gives gray, but really all of the dyes that I apply to it are the different colors. So there's some green, some purple, some gold, and some like of a rose pink color. And so because it's not bright and because they're not like speckled, they're just kind of there. I think you still see the pattern plenty. You still see the colors in there. Yeah, that's better. You still see the colors in there. To me, you can still see the texture just fine. I don't think that either one outdoes the other. I really do think that they are playing really nicely together. I think what's great about this is it's going to match so many different things without, again, being so in your face. It's just a really muted tone, and I absolutely love how it's working up. The way I've been kind of approaching this is to work on it whenever I'm in the mood to. So if I'm in the mood to work on it, then I don't care to say, I don't, you know, oh, maybe I should be working on all these other things. Like, no, if I'm in the mood to work on a heavily cabled textured sweater, then that's what I'm going to work on. Normally, I never print out patterns. I just look at them on my phone and I either keep track of rows mentally, quite honestly, you know, by looking at the pattern that I'm doing, or, you know, again, virtually on my phone. This was one pattern I had to print out the charts because you're working multiple charts at once, and I do keep a paper and pen tally of the rows that I'm on for the various charts because they're not all the same row repeats, and so I keep track of them separately, and then that makes it go really well. So I do think each row is taking me a long time. Like, I don't think this is a quick knit, quite honestly, even though it feels like it's going fast as I work on it, meaning that the individual charts for the most part are pretty straightforward and easy. You know, it could be, you know, for the most part it's all knitting and then you kind of get the cable row, and then it's all knitting and a cable row, and you just have to keep in mind which row is the cable row. For some of the ones that are, you know, more textured, you know, those obviously are a little more complicated, but within the row, it's not too bad. But I guess it does kind of slow me down. So, so again, it's not fast moving. I've definitely put a lot of time into it for it to kind of be this size, but of course it's DK weight, so that's helping. And I haven't gotten stressed from it. Like, I am in no way stressed by this pattern. It just, you know, for as much time as I feel like I've put into it, and it being a DK weight sweater, I would have hoped I'd be like at least halfway down the body, and I'm not. And it's totally fine because I'm still enjoying it. So again, when I have, you know, when I'm like, oh yeah, I want to work on that, it's the project I pull out and work on because it could very quickly become a project that I get very sick of. So anyway, that again is All the Lights by Joji Locatelli. And then the second sweater that I'm currently working on is the Pink Fizz sweater by Andrea Mowry. Again, I'm using my hand-dyed yarn. There's one project that is not my hand-dyed yarn. Everything else is, but that's life as a dyer. So this sweater is a pullover. It's in the round, so I will show it the best I can. But this is my canopy colorway on my sport base. So the sport base is a fairly new base to my shop. It's so new I don't have all the details memorized. It's a merino nylon blend, but I can't remember if it's 75-25 or 80-20. But it's a 3-ply base, and it's just, you can really tell the roundness in the fact that it's a 3-ply base. It is so squishy. It is so nice. I just am bouncy. Like, when people use the bouncy term for yarn, that's just what it is. And I absolutely am obsessed with this base. Right now it's only available as custom order. I don't have it as ready to ship in my shop quite yet, as I kind of get used to what people would want from it. But anyway, I'm using it for this pattern. Again, it's my canopy colorway, which I originally made to pair with woodland, so it's kind of nice that I'm working on these two sweaters together. But again, it's a pullover sweater. It's a bottom up one, so you work the hems first, and that's the back, and this is the front. And then you can see it just has, again, a textured lace pattern that goes up the side. It goes up the side in the front and the back. So there's 4 of those panels, 2 on each side, 2 in the front and 2 in the back. Otherwise, it's stockinette in the middle. So again, it's not brainless. You need to have a chart in front of you. It's not like a short number of row repeat. I think it's like 70 something rows in the chart, so it's not memorizable by any means, so you have to have the chart in front of you. So again, that's why it was nice to have those driftwood socks on the needles, because I didn't need to look up a pattern, but it wasn't straight vanilla either, so I felt like I was like doing something with my hands, but didn't need to like get out the pen and paper or get out my phone or whatever it was. For this one, I'm just following the chart on my phone, and I have like a row counter app to keep track of the rows, which quite honestly is never then updated, so I go off of what row I'm on looking at the pattern. So anyway, that is that. I'm absolutely loving how this colorway is knitting up. I'm so excited to finish this, but again, whenever I feel like knitting on the cabled sweater, that's what I work on, and so I haven't given this one too much attention. That's why I'm saying, I'm like, oh, maybe I should work on the other one. But I was able to get quite a bit done. Again, I'm probably like, this one I'm probably maybe like 6 inches past the hem. So yeah, so definitely making progress and getting there. It's a beautiful pattern. I think this will end up being one of my favorite sweaters that I've ever made once it is done. And it's been a while since I did a bottom-up sweater, so that's kind of fun and different as well. So that is the pink fizz, or a blue-green fizz for me. Oh, the other thing is, so the pattern itself calls for a fingering weight plus mohair, or a sport weight. So I am not really into the whole mohair thing, so I opted for the sport base option. Okay, so we did the 2 sweaters, now we're on to the 2 pairs of socks. I will say, so I just got back from the movies. We saw American Underdog, which was really good. If you're not, I'm not into football. I know nothing about football, and I definitely enjoyed it, but I do love sports movies in general, just the motivational aspect of them. So, you know, kind of keep that in mind. But if you haven't seen it, definitely recommend it. Again, I don't care for football, nor do I know anything about it. So yeah, of course these are kind of in a weird place to show it. But anyway, so my other project is a pair of vanilla socks, so from the movies. And I was having problems. I usually don't have such bad problems at the movies. I knit at the movies all the time. I knit while I read all the time. And for some reason, yeah, I did drop a stitch. I just kept dropping stitches, which is usually fine. I can pick it back up. You know, I kind of like hold it up a little bit to get light from the movie, and I can see it and just grab it and all good to go. But I couldn't figure out what, like my brain couldn't figure out what happened. And there's just, but later in the movie, I realized, I was like, I feel like there's a drop stitch here. And so I just put it away. And there is, so I should be able to ladder it up and fix it. But anyway, all of that leading on is that we just got back from the movies, and so I hadn't taken a look at it to see if it was okay, and it looks like it's just the one drop stitch. That's the problem. But these are a pair of self-striping socks that I'm knitting. Knitting vanilla socks 2 at a time. This is my favorite way to knit at the movies. By doing it 2 at a time, I'm just giving myself more vanilla time. So like, I never want to be at the movies when I'm at the point where I need to put in a heel. I have that happen recently, and I started to do the heel and was like, this isn't happening. So anyway, by having the 2 at a time, it just means that I have more time before I get to the heel, which means that I can pack in a couple of movies before I need to worry about the heels. So anyway, this is not my hand-dyed yarn. This is Jinx Yarns. And the colorway, I'll put it up on the screen here. Silver Frost, I don't know what it is. But it is a self-striping yarn. It is alternating between this like ice blue and silver gray. And that's it. It's just those 2 colors going together. Jinx Yarns is no longer around. I actually picked this up in her very last shop update. I always wanted to try her yarn, and so with it being kind of her last update, I figured it was a good time to do it. I also had picked up another color. It was like gingerbread house or something, and I've already knit with those, so I had these around. I've talked in the past about doing like a sock arm sweater with this color, but I talked about it so long ago, it obviously hasn't happened. And so I decided, let me just go ahead and do self-striping socks. And so the way that I do it is I take the skein and I wind it into a ball, and then I take it and wind it, you know, put it on a scale using one of my yarn bowls. I put it on a scale and then wind from the center into a 50-gram ball. So the way I know it's 50 grams is when there's 50 grams left, you know, in the ball that's on the scale, right? So I kind of do it until it gets down to that. And then when I cut it, and then I just make sure I start them at the same point because I want matching socks. So once I kind of get the yarn cut at the beginning of the balls so that they're the same, what I do is, so I do them 2 at a time, so it's not very much time in between when I cast the 2 on. But when I make the slip knot for one, I'm holding the other yarn there too. So I make a slip knot on both skeins at the same time. That way I know I'm starting them at the same point, if that makes sense. I'll talk about it in a separate video to not kind of drag it on, but that's how I do it so that they match, and they do. That was the thing too, was if I had dropped the stitch, maybe normally I wouldn't care and I'd weave it in later, but if the 2 socks have uneven number of stitches, then the stripes are gonna start not matching up correctly. So I could probably ladder this up, and it's just 1 stitch, so maybe it's okay, but I might just end up ripping the couple of rows back. The drop stitches is there. So ripping out that blue and some of this silver stripe here and just redoing it, just to make sure that they stay the same. But otherwise that is it. I don't have the ball band with me. This is not superwash merino yarn. It might be BFL yarn. Again, I'll put up all the information. I think it's BFL because personally I think BFL is a good sturdy sock yarn. I offer BFL sock base in my shop. I did knit the others with sock because I had that skein in stock and I just took it from there. But in general, BFL yarn does make a sturdier, better lasting yarn. And so that's why I opted to purchase the BFL yarn from her. I don't know what the blend is. It's not the same as my base, I can tell you that much. But I will put up that information when I have it. So yeah, a fun self-striping pair of socks. Again, doing it 2 at a time, just so that it's more conducive to knitting at the movies. Okay, and the very last whip I have is something I cast on actually on Christmas. I don't normally do like a Christmas Day cast on, nor do I really consider this a Christmas Day cast on. It was just kind of coincidentally a Christmas Day cast on. So I am knitting another pair of socks. This is not a vanilla sock. This is a Hermione's Everyday sock. So if you've never knit that, it's basically just knits and purls and you alternate them. It's a free pattern, and this is the yarn on the back. So this is my hand-dyed yarn. This is Carnival at Night. It's a really pretty colorway. You get pinks and purples, but then you also have blues and golds, and then of course the really dark blue that basically looks black. And then here it is with the texture. So again, I was looking for another texture pattern, but again, I really liked the idea of having something really straightforward, so that's why I did the Hermione's. This is the yarn in a cake. So again, that's my Carnival at Night colorway, which again is in stock at the moment. And so yeah, I am doing these on DPNs. So my preferred way is to use DPNs. I really can't stand pulling the loop, the cable needle through magic loop. That's why I had so many slip stitches at the movies. When I knit with my DPNs, I very rarely would have slip stitches, but again, I like doing the 2 at a time. Like if I could have long double pointed needles and do 2 at a time on them, that would be like the cat's meow, quite honestly. So I don't, so I'm doing it 1 at a time. I'm just about at the heel, and this is sock number 1. So I'm about to put in the heel. I think I just have to do a few more rows before that, and then I'll do the heel and the leg and be done with sock number 1. I'm kind of prioritizing this right now, getting this sock number 1 done, because I want these needles for something else that I'll show you guys in a second. But yeah, so I don't know if I'll finish it today. That would be like the ideal goal, is that I could get this sock done today. But again, I still have to do the heel, the entire leg, and the cuff. It's 4 o'clock on Tuesday, the day that this is theoretically going up. And I really don't have anything else to do today. So maybe I can focus on this and get it done, but I also, like, it's no big deal if it's done tomorrow. But yeah, that's my Carnival at Night socks. You know, as a dyer, I don't always see how all of my colorways knit up, which again, we're gonna come back to in a second. And certain colorways, when I see it, I'm just like so proud of myself that I did that, because when I was a knitter before I was a dyer, and one of the reasons why I tried dyeing is because I was so always, my brain was always trying to figure out how it was done. Like, how did they do this where there's a little bit of, you know, a stitch or two with gold and a stitch or two with pink and a stitch or two with blue. Like, how did they do it? And so then I kind of just like have those moments where I look at it and I'm just like, I did it. Like, all those years of wondering, like, I did it. So so yeah, I just absolutely love these colors. I love the lighter pink paired with kind of the darker blue, and how they made the purple in there too, and everything else. So I'm really excited about this colorway. So that brings me to the last thing that I'm working on, which are swatches for the shop. So once I finished the socks out of driftwood, I remember I said I want to wear those and not feel guilty about it or anything. So I took 10 grams and I knit a little swatch out of it. And I decided to do a tube because most people, not that most people knit socks, but I think it's more common than knitting, because sweaters are often in the round, socks are often in the round, and don't get me wrong, there are plenty of patterns that are not in the round that would just work if you were knit purl, but I feel like a lot of people like to see what it would look like as socks. That can be totally wrong, but this is what I went with. So I decided to knit a little tube, and it just has cuffs on both sides to just show how it knits up. So I will photograph this. I'm planning to get a sock blocker that's nicer than this, and it has my logo on it so I can take pictures on it. But yeah, so that was fun and didn't take too much time. Again, I like to knit and read, so having this little bit of vanilla was just a good thing to have while I was reading, because again, I bring the vanilla socks to the movies. I don't have anything else vanilla that I'm working on, so it's nice to have these while I'm reading. So I did that out of driftwood. And then for you crocheters out there, if you're watching, I would love some feedback. So I knit a little granny square out of, again, another 10 gram sample. So this is 10 grams of driftwood, and this is also 10 grams of driftwood. And so that way I could show how it works up in crochet, which it's so interesting, which I'll come back to. My question for you crocheters is, do you like something like this that has the holes? It's not going to focus on it. Or do you prefer something more solid as a swatch? I would love to know. Let me know. I plan to do this pattern in the meantime, but if it comes back that a lot of people like solid patterns, then I can rip this out. This did not take me long to make. I am not a crocheter. I had to look up everything of what it means. I'll link the pattern down below. It was a free kind of like blog, and there was a YouTube video associated with it where the instructions were written up. So if you want to make something like this, you can. Again, I learned how to do everything in here as I was doing it, and so anyone can do this. And it did not take me very long either. So again, those are the two swatches that I made out of some of the leftovers from that pair of socks. what's really interesting is driftwood kind of speckles when you knit with it, right? You kind of get like the grays and the browns to speckle there. Right, so you can kind of see like the striations of the gray and the brown and then the lighter bits and whatever, and it kind of makes like a speckly pattern. But of course when you're knitting in crochet, and I don't know what they're called, but you're making these blocks essentially, that's what I think of it as. You know, the colors pool there a little bit, so you get like a dark one and then a light one, versus kind of in knitting where it would kind of spread itself out a little bit more. So that was interesting to see, and I definitely you know, of course it's important to show it as a crochet swatch too, especially for that reason. So so yeah, again, would love the feedback if this is a good pattern to use as a crochet swatch, or if there's something kind of similar to a vanilla sock that would be better. So kind of that being said, the reason why I'm wanting to finish the Carnival at Night first sock and get those needles back is those are the needles that I used for the swatch. Yes, I could order another pair of needles, I know. But so what I'm gonna do, I guess I'm not gonna show it because it's the colors of the month. So I have my next shop update on January 8th at 10 a.m. Eastern time, and that's when I'm going to launch all the January colors of the month. So what I'm going to be doing is basically dyeing up 20 gram minis for myself. So basically I'm in my own colors of the month club, and take half of it and do the knitting swatch and half of it and do the crochet swatch, and have those ready in time for the shop update vlog, so you can kind of see the swatches when you're watching that vlog. I don't know if I'm going to post the swatches with the listings. Probably will, but you know, we'll see. Maybe not for January, but it will be in the video. We'll kind of figure that part out as we go. So I have all of the January colors of the month. Actually, no, I am lying. I only have 2 of them in here. 3 of them are elsewhere. Ready to go as soon as I cast off that sock. So my hope is that I will then get all the colors of the month done, and then I'll cast on the second sock, because the shop update is coming soon. I was hoping to kind of finish those before, but I was like really itching for that sock. So so yeah, that's why I kind of want to get it done like today or tomorrow. I still have a few, you know, the rest of this week off from work to get the samples done. So anyway, that's like my knitting plans. So that is it, and it's really exciting to finally have some projects to share with you guys. I hope you enjoyed this recap. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you do. It really helps other people find my channel, and also let me know that this is the type of content you want to see here on my channel. And make sure you comment below with what you're working on. If you celebrate Christmas, did you have a Christmas Day cast on? Did you knit something during Hanukkah or another traditional time for you this time of year? Let me know. Let me know if you had gifts that you had to get done and now you're just enjoying knitting selfishly for yourself. I'd love to hear about your projects. And yeah, so that is it for this vlog. On Friday, I'm actually going to be reflecting on 2021 from a business perspective, and then again we'll have that shop update January 8th, which is technically the second Saturday of the month, but I did not want to do the update on New Year's, so it is what it is. And that is that. And I will see you guys soon. Bye.